Let's turn to the US, where pro-Palestinian protests are continuing at major universities. Several have called police in, leading to hundreds of arrests. At Columbia University in New York, the center of the demonstrations, a student leader has been barred from the campus over comments he previously made. At the same time, Columbia's Senate, which makes decisions on behalf of students and teachers, has voted to investigate how the university's leadership handled the protests. Nomia Iqbal reports from New York.
Another day and another encampment has cropped up in the US. In this part of New York, students camped outside the City College.
We should make sure that CUNY administration knows that we will not back down.
Sarah is Palestinian American.
Students here and faculty here are not scared of anything. They're willing to risk their careers, they're willing to risk their schools, their personal lives. They know that there is a risk of arrest, they know there is a risk of suspension, but they're willing to stand here and risk it all for Palestine and for divestment.
Sergey once studied here.
I came here out of curiosity.
He describes himself as very pro-Israel.
I do find it unfair that certain groups are allowed to occupy public space, block people's access to those spaces. I do find it offensive when my people are accused of genocide when we defend ourselves. But at the same time, I do recognize freedom of speech, freedom of assembly.
This protest is peaceful, though as the crowds grow, so does the police presence. Tensions between officers and students have led to an escalation across many parts of America. From Georgia to Texas to Ohio and California, there have been hundreds of arrests, with students accused of trespassing. The protests were started here by Columbia University students more than a week ago. Tensions have been fraught between those who are pro-Palestinian and those who are pro-Israeli, both accusing each other of hate speech. One student has since apologized for prior remarks, saying Zionists don't deserve to live. Kaimani James has now been barred from the protest site.
It's much calmer here today at Columbia University, but the students in the encampment behind me aren't budging on their demands. They and other students who are protesting across the country are calling on their universities to essentially cut economic and academic ties with Israeli institutions.
Stand up, fight back.
All of our demands have to be achieved in order for us to leave the encampment. We're asking for financial transparency. We're asking for cops off campus. We're asking for amnesty for all students that have faced disciplinary charges or have been suspended or arrested.
Tally is one of those students.
I think it was very jarring to be placed in zip ties and held for that long. But I will also say, as kind of frustrating and angry and scary as it was, I was also very proud to be standing in solidarity with my peers.
American campuses have long been political battlegrounds. The October 7th attacks in Israel are the latest flashpoint, with many universities struggling to rein in the turmoil. Nomia Iqbal, BBC News, New York.
Let's get that clock started. So the day started with David Pecker back on the witness stand for his continued cross-examination. Lawyers for Trump trying to poke holes in Pecker's ability to recall with accuracy. But at the end, Pecker delivers for the prosecution, talking about an agreement reached with the FEC and AMI. Within that agreement, AMI admits that the payment made to Karen McDougal for $150,000, that was to influence the outcome of the election. Second witness for the prosecution takes the stand, Rona Graff, 34 years working for the Trump Organization, longtime assistant, gatekeeper to Donald Trump. She says she saw Stormy Daniels at Trump Tower, and Donald Trump had within his personal contacts on Outlook both Karen McDougal and Stormy Daniels' contact information. Furthermore, she admitted that her legal fees for 2 lawyers being paid by Trump Organization. The last witness who took the stand was Gary Faro. His direct examination was...
And big changes ahead for an airline so many Americans rely on. We're talking, of course, about discount carrier Southwest Airlines. It posted some big losses in the first quarter of this year, and now it is cutting flights. ABC's Alexis Christoforous is here now to break it all down. Good morning, Alexis.
Good morning, Gio. Heading into the busy summer travel season, Southwest Airlines is pulling out of 4 airports as it deals with the financial fallout from delays and getting new planes from Boeing. So beginning in August, Southwest will stop flying to Cozumel, Mexico, Chicago, Syracuse, New York, Bellingham in Washington State, and George Bush Intercontinental Airport in Houston. Southwest will also cut half its flights in Atlanta and about a third at Chicago's O'Hare. It's also limiting hiring and asking workers to take unpaid time off. It expects to end the year with 2,000 fewer employees. The No Frills airline trying to cut costs after losing more than $230 million from January to March, thanks in part to higher labor costs and those problems at Boeing. Guys?
And Alexis, you and I were talking about this a little while ago. Southwest, it is so known for that open seating policy. It's that first come, first serve, no seat reservations. But now that may change. What do we know?
Yeah, it's the signature of the airline, right? So ending its free-for-all seating would be a big game changer for Southwest. Now, the airline says no decision has been made yet, but that it is, quote, very seriously studying seating and the way passengers board planes, including possibly adding a...
Congressman Adam Schiff all smiles in this picture, despite becoming the latest victim of San Francisco's crime crisis. Thieves reportedly stealing luggage from his car that was sitting in a parking garage, leaving him in a bind and in casual clothes for a formal dinner. Here to react is former MLB player and a California Republican Senate candidate running against Adam Schiff, Steve Garvey. Steve, good morning to you. So what do you think about this?
Carly, nice to be with you. I think that crime doesn't discriminate. And, you know, I'm sorry it happened to my opponent or to anyone, but it happens in the streets of San Francisco and New York and Los Angeles. It's a failure of career politicians, especially on the left, to be strong on crime. And I am strong on crime. You know, I believe in faith, family, and freedom, in the defense of that. I believe in common sense, in compassion, and building consensus. And now more than ever, we have to stand up. We have to have political courage, religious courage. Courage as men and women in these United States to stand up for what is right. And that's strong law enforcement, an attack on crime. And you know what's happened in college campuses throughout the United States. And I said this the other day in a press conference. You know, I don't give press releases. I stand up and talk about what I feel. And I feel this is terrorism in the disguise of free speech. And is it a hate crime? I think so. When you attack a certain culture of people, and the attack is on these Jewish students, you're attacking their roots, you're attacking their religion, and leadership has to stand up. Leadership at these universities, their sole goal is to provide a nurturing environment, a safe environment. Yeah. And now we who are being leaders around the country, myself running for the U.S. Senate, and I'll be the next U.S. Senator, I demand leaders to stand up, whether it's the presidency, whether it's in Congress, in state politics. We've got to stop this.
Yeah, and I know that you say that this is a crisis of leadership from the college presidents all the way to L.A. District Attorney George Gascon. You're also calling on him to do something about this.
Absolutely, and he was DA in San Francisco, and you see how crime has deteriorated that city. And now in Los Angeles, cashless bail, observing Proposition 47, which has been a disaster, taking felons and felonies and making them misdemeanors. We have to stand up against this, and you use this by your vote. And you look at people like myself who love the state of California, been here 50 years, have a currency of faith with the people. They know what I believe in. So I'm standing up, using political courage to make sure that these leaders do the right thing and do it now. I'm not so concerned about what's I think is the most pressing situation, and that's global defense. I think we'll take care of that with our allies. I'm more concerned about an implosion from within with this country that's tearing down the Constitution, that isn't using responsible free speech and the right to have an expression of their religion.
When Hamas and the Iranian regime are praising your protest, that is a surefire sign that you're on the wrong side. Steve, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We appreciate you as always.
Always a pleasure. Look forward next time.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.
That tornado outbreak in the heartland, dozens of twisters reported in the Omaha, Nebraska area, and millions of Americans are under another severe weather threat today from Texas to the Great Lakes. ABC's Melissa Adon is in Elkhorn, Nebraska with the latest. Melissa, good morning.
What an incredibly destructive evening. We're talking about so many families across the heartland on edge. This here in Elkhorn. This is west of Omaha. We just have a row of homes totally destroyed, taken out by that powerful tornado. We're now seeing so many families that are left without a home. Search and rescue crews going home by home, tagging them to make sure that they are making sure everyone there was accounted for. In front of this home, we see here this marking. They had to mark the driveway because what's left behind us, totally here, destroyed. This as so many families are now picking up the pieces to see what will happen next. Overnight, tornadoes tearing through the heartland.
This is a strong one, too. That is not good.
More than 24 reported in Nebraska alone. This neighborhood in Elkhorn flattened, homes shredded. A drone video capturing the damage, roofs ripped off homes.
I was crying like a baby because it was just the scariest feeling in the world. It was helpless.
Residents now picking up the pieces of what's left, and search and rescue efforts still underway. At least 2 people injured in the town, according to local officials.
We've been very fortunate with very few injuries. It seems like our warning systems in the city of Omaha have been very effective.
About 70 people trapped inside this manufacturing business in Lancaster County after a tornado slammed into it, injuring 3 people. And in the state capital of Lincoln, this tornado swirling near an event center, sending debris flying.
Lots of debris in the air.
Nearby, a powerful twister crossing Interstate 80.
Semi's overturned up here.
Storm chasers racing to check on the driver of an overturned tractor trailer.
He's okay, he's okay. Dude, we're not getting twins, are we?
More than 78 reported tornadoes and counting. This dangerous outbreak is far from over. In front of this home, we're seeing photos of families, their precious mementos, pieces of their homes just sprawled all across this neighborhood. This is just one family experiencing this sort of damage, but the threat is not over yet.